What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions. And hello everyone, welcome once again. My name is Logan and this is Decode Your Reality. Today I'm doing one on breaking down and decoding The Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci's 14th century painting, The Last Supper. This is The Last Supper Part 2. I have Part 1 you can check out on my channel. This has a boatload of new information. You don't even have to watch part number 1, but I do have it on my channel in case you're interested. But I'm going to say right here, loud and clear, ladies and gentlemen, I will guarantee you will be completely satisfied by watching this presentation. I'm going to show you some things you've probably never seen before, and this completely changes the game on how this matrix works, because I have so much clear and convincing and supporting evidence showing not only this system that I use, this methodology that I use, but exactly what this painting is all about. What this painting is all about. So here are my methods for decoding. Primarily I use numerology, breaking down the spoken word. That's taking each letter, giving it a number, and then adding up those numbers, getting an outcome, and then of course using those in other systems like alchemy. We can take the numbers of what we get through numerology. Let's say we get the number 23, we bring it into alchemy. Well, the 23rd element is vanadium, and then we can read from that and look at the pictures, and it's really interesting, and then we can tie all those together, and this is where it's at. I'm speaking alchemy to you right now, which is the blending of words. Alchemy is magic. Alchemy is just blending things together. So I'm using the spoken word, the spells I speak. That's why they say, how do you spell your name? What's the spelling of your name? It's all magic, ladies and gentlemen. We're all magicians. I also use the digits of pi. I believe everything is embedded into the 3.1415, the never-ending digits of pi. So these are all tied together. And then, of course, we need to get a picture. We think in pictures. That's why the tarot has so much value. All these symbols are tied to the alchemical elements. They're tied to pi. They're tied to numerology. And then, of course, the cards of illumination. I call them the cards of illumination. There's many different names for them, but keep in mind there's 52 cards matching that of the 52 weeks of the year. There's 4 suits matching up with the 4 seasons. Each suit has 13 cards matching up with the lunar cycles, the lunar phases. It's all embedded into nature, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing about it that is from the devil. So we're not doing divination. We are breaking down and decoding the matrix. These are my methods, my methodology. Now, The Last Supper was a painting done in the late 1400s, late 15th century, I guess. Maybe I said 14th century, 15th century. And this thing has great significance. The measurements, the dimension, 460 centimeters by 880 centimeters. 88's the number of time travel. There's great significance to this painting, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe that this guy, Leonardo da Vinci, was being used to some degree to express how the matrix works. I believe the creator, or the one that's running this matrix reality, has its hands in every cookie jar possible. I mean, and then you have to question free will at that point. Really have to question it. But I'm going to say here loud and clear that this painting is the periodic table. It's part of it. And the interesting part is the periodic table didn't come into existence until the year 1869, which was almost 500 years after The Last Supper was painted. And that's why I'm very convinced, which I'm going to show you with supporting evidence, that the one that's running this matrix reality is running the show behind the scenes, and it's tying everything together. And that's why people say, well, how can you say that happened? That didn't happen. That was 300 years ago, and that didn't come about, and there's no way. Well, it doesn't matter, because the divine has its hands in every stinking thing possible. And this painting right here, this is the first 36 elements of the periodic table. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is 666. the box. I call it the box, aka hell. I believe we're living in hell. That's why our position, our responsibility is to bring heaven to earth. Well, if earth was already heaven, then why would we have to bring it here? No, it's hell. Our position is to create a heaven on earth. We are in the box, 666. And this is the astrological signs, of course, all 13. Jesus quite possibly could be the 13th zodiac sign called Ophiuchus, which is the zodiac sign that controls the serpent. Really interesting. He's wearing red and blue, indicating red shift, blue shift. You know Santos Bonacci's work, he talks highly about that. And that's, of course, embedded with the torus fields and dielectricity and magnetism. Very, very important to understand that. If you're decoding, you need to understand torus fields, dielectricity, magnetism. You need to have a firm grasp of this stuff, or some of these things will not click with you. But nonetheless, how can a painting have the elements of the periodic table that didn't come about until 400 years later? That's the question that I want you to take through this presentation. 36 squares above the heads of all 13 people here at the table. 36. There's 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. 6 times 6 is 36. We also have 4 grids on the left, 4 grids on the right, and 3 windows or grids in the back. So we can measure all these kinds of things. And then, of course, this is the separation point of heaven and hell. That's the way I see it. But here it is, using the first 4 rows of the periodic table and, of course, the Vedic chakra points. You need to understand these as well, ladies and gentlemen, or some of the stuff's not going to make sense. The planets fit in here as well, you know, and this is Jupiter. Jupiter is the biggest planet. It runs the heart. The heart runs our body. Jesus was a Jew Peter. Saint Peter is Jesus, or an extension of him. But this is the heart chakras line right here, all these elements. What's interesting about this right here is, you know, this is potassium, but of course the abbreviation is the letter K, or it uses the word K. And this quite possibly, ladies and gentlemen, could be the keyhole that the light comes in. And of course, if you understand dielectricity and magnetism, you know, it goes up and down. So if it were to come in through here, it would go up and down. It doesn't just go one way, as we know, linear. But this is the box, and 1 through 36 equals 666. I've been saying this over and over. This is where they want to keep you stuck. I say they, it's those idiots that don't want to have the knowledge spread all over all the world. They want to keep it all to the selfish selves. Well, that ain't happening anymore, ladies and gentlemen, because we're in the age of Aquarius, which is the age of I know. We have no excuses anymore to say, well, I'm going to use ignorance as my get-out-of-jail-free card. It doesn't work that way anymore. This is the age of liberation. And, you know, this will be the age of the mystical arts. I can guarantee that. People want to know about themselves. But nonetheless, this is the painting of Leonardo da Vinci. Right here, this is the box. That's why there's 36 grids above the head of all these apostles. These are the 36 elements. And, you know, next time you go to a traffic light, when you pull up to a traffic light at an intersection, here's the traffic light. It's just reversed. Here's green is go and red is stop. And then, of course, yellow is caution. And, of course, caution is linked to the gut. Our gut instinct should tell us whether we should move forward or stop. Caution. Use your instincts. That's why yellow, it means caution as you approach the light. It's really interesting when you look at it that way. But anyway, nonetheless, here is the aspects of the Last Supper using the zodiac signs and Mother Nature. Now listen, it's very easy to go out and observe Mother Nature and understand that all it is expansion and contraction. That's why when you go to the ocean, the waves go in and out. Expansion, contraction. That's the earth breathing, or the heartbeat of the earth. And this is the sine wave right here. This is the wave. You know, everything is just waves. If you ever studied the double slit experiment, it needs an observer for it to be a fixed aspect. Other than that, it's just a wave particles. But it starts at Aries, and the reason why this is expansion is because it gets warmer. So in the summertime, spring and summer, we want to go outside, wear short sleeve shirts and shorts and get in our bikinis and bathing suits and rip off all our clothes. It's expansion time. It's warm, you know? And then when we have the fall of man and come down to the colder months, the 6 months of cold, it's contraction. It's when you want to go inside, you know? Everything shrivels up. You get cold, goosebumps, contraction. So this is, and then Jesus is the midway point. He controls both sides. He is the bridge. What I'll show you, he's the salt bridge. Because this is really what our matrix reality is. We live in a battery. This is a battery. Even though this is 666, but it's a battery, and it's nothing other than, if you haven't studied science, it's pretty easy. You have minus and plus. One's feeding off the other. Anode, cathode. And in order for this to work, you need what's called a salt bridge. Jesus is that salt bridge. The heart chakra. This would be the salt bridge. And if you want to win the game of life, ladies and gentlemen, you have to win the heart chakra. And it's not easy sometimes. But this is it. And I mean, you know, sodium is the number 22 for its atomic weight. And, you know, the Archangel Michael, who people refer to as Jesus, that equals 22. The same as alchemy. These in numerology, look at the expressions. The word change equals the number 22. So, you know, when we go from here to here, things change. Alchemy happens. And this is just an example. This is a galvanic cell. Galvanic equals 69, which is the yin-yang. But this is just an indication of how our matrix reality works. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a battery. And I'm going to show you that with clear and convincing evidence. Now here's another rendition of how this painting is expressed. This is how the Last Supper is expressed using Latin El Ultima Cena. And look at the outcomes of that. In the English ordinal, a 111. A master 111. Very rare to get these 111s, so I know it's a big thing. In the English Sumerian, it's a 666, and did I not say this is 666? And then, you know, in Chaldean, it's a 36. What does that mean? Well, like I told you, there's 36 grids above the head. This is 666. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. You add that up, you get 666. And then, of course, the word Jesus Christ equals the number 36. What's interesting about using the zodiac signs, here you have expansion, spring and summer, so Aries through Virgo, 6 signs, and then you have the contracting months, or zodiac signs, Libra through Pisces. And the numerology outcomes of spring and summer is 106, and those of fall and winter is 145. When we take the numerology and bring that into play, 106.145, you know, the decimal separates the two, Jesus separates the two, we get an outcome of 107. And ladies and gentlemen, the only element that has an atomic weight of 107 is the 47th element, silver. And I've shown this so many times in other previous videos. 47 is linked to the tetragrammaton. That's the box that we live in. 47, the Washington, D.C. equals 47. White House equals 47. Georgetown University equals 47. How is that possible? How is a painting that was done 400 years prior to the release of the periodic table have the periodic table in it? I'm going to keep showing you that. I'm going to keep showing you how this is in our face, and it's always been there. It's because the one that runs this matrix reality has its hands in everything. So how much free will do we really have? So I want to digress and show you, like, if you take how many squares we have 4 windows maybe, or, you know, exits on one side, you have 4 on this side, you have 3 windows in the back behind all the apostles, and then you have 36 above the head. So we have 4 plus 3 plus 4 plus 36. And when we add those up, ladies and gentlemen, we yet again get a number 47. And, silver also has an atomic weight of 108. There's a reason why I chose to put 108 here, and it's because when we start to measure this room, length times width times height, and we do that kind of stuff, we end up having the four windows on the left times 36 above the head, and that equals 144, as in 144,000. And then we measure the right side of the room. 36 times 4 is yet again another 144. And then 36 times 3, the 3 windows in the back, that equals the number 108, which is why I put the silver at 108.905. That's its weight at that measurement. So then when we go ahead and if we add up those two sides, if we add up 144.913 plus 108.905, we get 253.818 for the left side, and then 253.818 for the right side. That's measuring the room. And then we use numerology to give us the expression of what that means, because that's how we say it, 253.818. Right there. And look at the outcomes that we get for this, ladies and gentlemen. We get a triple 1, which of course the element, if you know the periodic table now, rhodogenium is the 111th element, and rhodogenium equals 47. We also get the number 288. Why is 288 important? Because 288 appears at the 33rd decimal digit of pi. And what year was Jesus crucified at? 33. How many vertebrae do we have in our spinal cord? 33. How many steps are there in Freemasonry? 33. So it's obvious what's going on, and how can we now refute that the periodic table does not fit into this painting, but yet was designed and painted 400 years prior to the periodic table coming out? How's that possible? Let's keep going. Let's go ahead and now divide these two into one another. 108.905, we divide it into 144.913, we get 0.75 on the left, 0.75 on the right. 7575 for both sides. You get the number 88. Ladies and gentlemen, the number 88 is the number of time travel. How many miles per hour did Marty McFly have to get his DeLorean in the movie Back to the Future to time travel? 88 miles an hour. The word chronos, as in Saturn, in the Greek equals the number 88. So Saturn has a major role in time travel. Now here's where it gets interesting with the whole battery, and now we're going to get into the light spectrum. Stay with me, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you I have so many more good gold nuggets to give you. It'll be well worth your time that you invest in this. So here's the negative. We were talking about a battery. We're going to go back to the battery. We have anode, which is negative, and then we have cathode, which is positive. We have red, and we have blue. That's why Jesus in this painting has half of a red shirt and half of a blue shirt, indicating the red and the blue. Now, if we get into the Vedic chakra systems, this would be the throat chakra, this would be the root chakra. It's the 1 and the 5. The magic square of Saturn is 15. The mirror of that is the 51. It has huge significance to all this, but I'm not showing that today. But nonetheless, anode and cathode is where it's at. This is a battery we live in. We live in a battery. 666, the box we live in, is the battery. And this is the light spectrum. Now, if you know anything about the light spectrum, it's typically referred to the colors of the light spectrum, especially in the digital world, in graphic design. It's RGB. These are the three main colors. RGB. You can go Google that, and there's a ton of stuff on it. It's actually Roy G. Biv, but it's RGB. And this, I'm going to show you, has great significance. But remember, man, the Freemasons have the G in the middle of their compass. That's where the compass sits, right in the middle. It would be Jesus. And you could even spell Jesus with the letter G and replace it for the letter J. Could you not? Because it's pronounced phonetically the same way. So it would be G-E-S-U-S instead of J-E-S-U-S. So there's great significance there. And this is green. RGB, green. Well, I showed you this is the heart chakra, and the heart chakra in the Vedic system is green. You must win the heart chakra to get to the other side. Now, what's interesting about 22 with anode and 29 with cathode, because we're talking negative and positive, we bring numerology into this, 22 and 29. So in the English cipher, the English ordinal, it's 22 and 29, we get 216. Now, I'm not going to expand too much on that, because if you don't know what 216 is, I don't have the graph to show you, but ladies and gentlemen, that is the divine triangle. Next time you look at the White House, you'll see a triangle, a big one, sitting right atop. When you're staring at it from the grass, that's the divine triangle. 216, and of course, if you study any John Petrie's work, 216 is directly related to the 144. It's directly related to it, and it's all about light, the light spectrum. Now, when we use Chaldean, 22 and 29, we get the number 67, and 67 is the 19th prime number. And the word battery equals the number 19. You see how you have to really kind of fit all these together? It's like a puzzle. You can't just use numerology. You can't. You got to use pi, you got to use prime numbers, triangular numbers. I mean, this goes so deep. You got to use the light spectrum, obviously, and you got to use common sense, you know? And this is astrology. You have to understand astrology. It is the Bible. Whether you like it or not, man, it is the Bible. So if you're told that astrology is from the devil, well, you've been bamboozled, because it's not. But anyway, 144, 144. I've shown that. That's 144, 144, and that's directly related to the 216. So here's the battery, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a battery. Let's go a step further. Let's bring the tarot into this. Let's bring the light spectrum into this. RGB. This is where we start. This is the root chakra. And you know, this is part of the 33 steps right there. And then here's the other half, which would give us 66. But nonetheless, RGB right here is 232. And through numerology, 232, when I say that and I spell it out, it ends up being 17, 21, 17, 232. So this would be the 21 right in the middle, right? Well, the word Yeshua, one of Jesus's, aliases that he goes by, or names that he goes by, and equals the number 21. The word love equals 21, by the way. And he was all about bringing love to the world. That was his character. Well, I mean, look how fitting that is. I mean, again, am I just trying to fit a square peg in a round hole? No, this is putting a puzzle together. And, 21 is Yeshua, and the 21st card in the tarot is the World card. And notice the symbology on this, ladies and gentlemen. You have the four faces of God on this card, the ox, lion, eagle, man, the four fixed signs of astrology. And then, of course, in the middle, you have this probably an androgynous being going through the portal, which would put you out onto the other side. And let's get into the 2 aspect now. I said 232, 2 is 17. Well, the 17th card is the star card. And Aleister Crowley had it right when he said, we're all stars born into this matrix reality. Damn skippy we are. We're all stars. The word fish equals 17, and was not Jesus a fisherman of men? Go look it up in the Bible. That's what it says. He was a fisherman of men. Well, we're all stars, and fish is 17, and this is the 17th card. So you see how this is a puzzle, and you got to put it together? Jesus was a fisherman of men. Yeah, we're the fish. And why are we fish? Because we're in water. Air is water. Precipitation. Humidity. It's all water, and batteries have water in them. That's what makes them the current flow, currency, current. Water has current in it, you see? And then, of course, we have 2 sides of that. This is the middle part. So here, here's a little graph I made with the water. This is where we're at. And now we're going to get into the cards of illumination. And this is what I like to call them. But nonetheless, this is how powerful this is. Because we're still using the RGB, the red, the green, and the blue, the color light spectrum. 232 is 17, 21, 17. And now we're going to show you, this is the 17th card. This is the 21st card. And then the 17th card. 232, 17, 21, 17. Well, when we take these two right here, because this is your 33 steps right here, one half of it to get to the heart chakra, to get out of this box that we all live in, to win the heart chakra and then win the game of life, it's all about the 4 of clubs and the 8 of clubs. Through numerology, ladies and gentlemen, that equals the number 75. And I will digress and show you, 75 was when I divided silver and promethium, and that ended up being the number 88, which is time travel. Time travel. That's what we're doing. We're traveling time through the light spectrum. You know, humans, if you spell human with H-U-E, as in the hue, the color hue, man, we're light beings slowed down into physical matter. That's what we are. And this is where it's at with the cards of illumination, the 4 of clubs and the 8 of clubs and the 4 of clubs. I mean, it's just it's a repeater. This is just a repeater. It just expands and contracts, expands and contracts. And this is the heart chakra. Jesus is the heart chakra. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Recycle, recycle, recycle. It's alternating current. That's what this whole thing is. It's a battery. We live in a battery. We live in water. It's exactly what's going on. Now we bring in King Solomon's temple, which is what they are building again for the 3rd time. This is extremely important. I talked about Jesus being the salt bridge. Well, now we bring in the tarot cards, we bring in the planets, and then we bring in astrology as well. The end of the Mayan calendar. Now, we start off here. This is the Fool, the 0, Earth, the kingdom. Everybody wants to leave off the 0. The 0 is important. It's where everything's born from. It's the offspring. Everything's the offspring of the 0. But nonetheless, here is Mercury's row, here's Venus's row, and here's Mars's row. 1, 2, and 3. And then this is the salt bridge, the crossing over point, which is right here. This is the crossing over point to get to the other side. And that's what this is right here. So we have all 12 astrology signs inside this right here, the 1 through 4. So even though the 12 signs are strewn across, and they literally could be all the way through Neptune, like this, there's also the microcosm as well. So we have the microcosm right here. And again, this the main importance is the crossing bridge. And it's clear as day, ladies and gentlemen, when you add up the numbers of Jupiter's line. Jupiter's cards are the Wheel of Fortune, the Justice card, let me zoom in on them, and the Hangman. You know, this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is when you go to court, and you go into the courthouse and you go into the courtroom, this is a courtroom right here. And the judge sits right here. And if you were to go on trial, all the witnesses would sit here and they would spin the wheel and they would decide your fate. And then you would be here getting sentenced. The Hangman. This is a court of law right here. That's what it is. And it's all related to the temple, King Solomon's temple, built by Hammurabi. Hammurabi equals 33. I mean, it's just so apparent when you put all these pieces together. And, you know, that's why 12 is the last number of completion. You know, John Petrie, you follow his work. You know, Tesla, 369 is the keys to the universe. But like Petrie says, he forgets the 12. It's the hidden number. Absolutely, because it's the last number before death happens. 13th card is death, which makes way for a new beginning. But these are Jesus's cards. 10 plus 11 plus 12 equal the number 33, which is 33 years of the crucifixion, or his age at the crucifixion, the 33 vertebrae, the 33 steps to Freemasonry, climbing Jacob's ladder. The end of the Mayan calendar, 2012, 12. The end of the calendar. It's time for new beginnings. Jesus is the judge. Justice, the scales. He's the judge. And that's why everybody always wants to put their faith in this character, Jesus, because of the way this system is set up. It's exactly how this works, ladies and gentlemen. The middle pillar is where it's at. This is the reason why they likely knocked down the Twin Towers. This is, Twin Tower number 1, Twin Tower number 2, and now they have just one tower up because they've meshed together the left and right hand paths, and they now have made an androgynous pillar, which is what what I believe to be their agenda. Let's keep going. So again, to recap, I've shown this before, but this is the Last Supper right here, and Jesus is the middle. He's the salt bridge, and this is the flow. If you follow science, the flow it's just continuous. It's a pulse. It's a wave. It's alternating current. It just keeps going and keeps going. And the word salt equals the number 11. 11's the number of magic. And even when you look at the number 11 as a symbolic aspect, 2 ones side by side look like 2 rods. It could be a little battery, a mini battery, but what does salt do? Salt is a conductor, is it not? It most definitely is a conductor. And, I showed this earlier, alchemy's 22, change is 22, sodium's only atomic weight is 22. So when you add a salt bridge, it completes the circuit and it allows the current to flow. So this is where Jesus sits, ladies and gentlemen, which is the heart chakra, which would be Jupiter. Jupiter. Now, when we break down anode and cathode, thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for sticking with me on this. I have a little bit more to go here. Anode is 22 broken down. It's a 5-letter word. It's a 15745 right there. Then we add up using the trusty calculator. It adds up to 46.041. That's anode. That's this side right here. Then we go to cathode. Cathode's a 7-letter word. It's interesting. We have 5 and 7. I showed you what 57 or 75 was. But cathode ends up through the trusty calculator being 62.069. That's this side right here. So we have 46.041 on anode and 62.069 on cathode, which is the battery we live in. Now we want to divide those two because they're opposing forces, negative and positive. So we have 46.041 and we divide 62.069, and look at the outcome that we get, 0.74. The word Jesus equals 74, the word Lucifer equals 74. I believe that these two energies are the players on the chessboard. Jesus is the black, Lucifer is the white. Lucifer is known as the light bringer. Jesus is the yin feminine, Lucifer is the yang masculine. That's why they both equal 74. I mean, this is the battery right here. Opposing forces, 74. And here we now get into, yet again, more depths of alchemy, because the element arsenic, the 33rd element, has an atomic weight of 74. And that was the age he was crucified at, 33. Arsenic, and of course, arsenic in small dosages can kill you. He was killed. If he was real or not, it really doesn't matter. I'm not interested whether or not he was a real person. The idea makes it real. The focal point, people giving it energy, has made it real. That's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. Go look it up. It's psychology. It's an idea that becomes real. Well, how is this possible, ladies and gentlemen? That the crucifixion that happened, supposedly, if it did, that happened so many thousands of years ago, before this element ever even came into existence. How is that possible? Because the game was already written before it ever started, which then leads me to that same question: how much free will do we have? 33 steps, 33 vertebrae to enlightenment, 33 years of age to the crucifixion. Arsenic is poisonous, and it equals 74. This is the battery, anode and cathode. We live in a battery. Jesus and Lucifer are the white and the black players on the chessboard. The division of these two, minus and plus, 0.74. There it is right there. There it is right there. The 33rd card in the cards of illumination is the 7 of diamonds. 7 means completion. It's complete. It's a day, the Sabbath day. It's a day of rest and reflection. 7 of diamonds in the English ordinal equals, through numerology, 144. As in 144,000. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the biggest key I have found in this presentation that I'm going to show you today. This really, if you want to say knock the cover off the ball, put the nail in the coffin, put the icing on the cake, this is it right here. Now, this chart, this periodic table, if you haven't seen this since high school, well, welcome back. But right now I have it at a stage where it's showing the temperatures of these elements being a solid, a liquid, or a gas, or even the unknown. But these are the 3 stages in which an element moves to and from. And there's only a few elements that go through a stage of what's called sublimation, right here. And the only elements known from what I read here that can sublimate, and sublimate means that it goes from a solid to a gas and skips it being a liquid. It moves right from a solid to a gas. Now, I want to say this to you, ladies and gentlemen. When you're alive in your avatar right now, as you're listening to me, you have a physical body, but inside of you, you have a spirit or a soul. So you have 2 parts to you. But you're in a solid form right now. Well, when it's time for you to leave this place, and your heart finally stops and your brain stops functioning, your soul and spirit is then free, and you become a gas. This would be your spirit, the gas form, your soul. You can't really see it. And this would be your avatar, your physical appearance. And I'm going to show you something that completely blew me away. But anyway, sublimation, that's what it is. It's going from a solid to a gas and skipping the liquid phase. Look at the elements that are able to sublimate. Iodine and arsenic. I'm going to show you what iodine's all about. That's the 53rd element. That's all related to the yod he vahe. But ladies and gentlemen, this is where the biggest gold nugget, probably of my research careers thus far. I'm going to show it to you right now. You can move this temperature gauge plus or minus, and here it is in kelvins, and then of course its counterpart Celsius. It doesn't show Fahrenheit on here because this is the Royal Society overseas in Europe. But nonetheless, keep your eye on this arsenic right here. Here's the 33rd element. This is the, of course, number of ascension, right? Changing over. And this is one of the 2 elements that can do sublimation. So right now it's at 888 kelvins, and arsenic is a solid. 888. Now, we all know, I shouldn't say we all know, some of you know that the character Jesus equals the number 888. 888. So arsenic at 888 degrees Kelvin is a solid. But we make one boop, and we go to 889, and then all of a sudden arsenic becomes a gas. It becomes a spirit. It ascends. Let me show you again. Go back to 888. Keep your eye on the arsenic over here. I'm just going to click it once, and it turns green. It moves to a gas. 888 to 889, that is your crucifixion, ladies and gentlemen. That's the ascension process. That's turning your avatar in and getting rid of it and going into your spirit or soul. That's what this whole thing's all about. And then, of course, that is 616 degrees Celsius. So let's show you that even going further, going into Fahrenheit, because we know Fahrenheit. 616 degrees Celsius is where arsenic turned into a gas, or where we turned into our soul. In Fahrenheit, it's 1140.8 degrees. When we break that down using numerology, 1140.8. 1140.8. Look at the outcomes it gives us. 96 is the number of the yin and yang. Black and white. These are two magnets. They oppose each other, but they're both essential for each other's existence. And then in the English ordinal, 241. Why is that important? Go to Number Empire. The number 241 is the 53rd prime number. And ladies and gentlemen, the 53rd element on the periodic table is iodine. And it's the only element that has the letter I for its abbreviation. The only one. And of course, I am. I am that I am. It means violet. That's what the name's derived from, iodine. The weight's significant. This is the only weight it has. And I showed this under sublimation. At the right temperature, the elements iodine and arsenic will sublimate from a solid into a gaseous form. Right here, arsenic. And then iodine. And I'm not even going to get into the iodine aspect because I don't need to. I mean, the arsenic alone should be a huge key to your puzzle. How about the word sublimate? This was big too, right here. I told you 88's the number of time travel. Sublimate, 9-letter word. 9 letters, 1 word. 1 and 9, 19 equals battery. Sublimate, going from a solid to a gas, skipping the liquid phase. Dry ice does that. Sublimate, when you break that down using alchemy, going through the trusty calculator, it ends up being 61.084. 61084, that's how we speak that. It ends up being the number 88. 88 is the number of time travel. Chronos in the Greek equals 88. 88 is the number of time travel. Do you see how this all lines up? From a solid to a gas. Time travel. Ascension. I'm almost done, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get into the Bible now. I'm going to show you now. We're talking about the Passover. This is where Jesus talks about astrology. Now we're shifting gears a little bit, but this is important because we're now still talking about 33 and arsenic and the ascension process, sublimation. You know, Luke chapter 22 verses 10, very clear what Jesus was talking about. You have to be really ignorant to think this is not astrology, but obviously if you don't know astrology, then maybe you have a little bit of ignorance. I mean, we're all ignorant, but Jesus says, you know, the apostles are asking him, well, how are we going to know? What are we going to do about the Passover? How are we going to know all this is going down? And he says, when ye are entered into the city is the zodiac sign. The city is the 12 signs of the zodiac. There shall be a man to meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Well, the zodiac sign that has a pitcher of water and someone holding it is Aquarius. It says, follow him into the house where he entereth in. Well, there are 12 houses of astrology. Jesus was in the age of Pisces. We're not in the age of Pisces anymore. That's why Jesus is making this statement. You need to follow him into the house. Well, when you break this down completely in numerology, that's why I have all this highlighted in yellow, ladies and gentlemen. This equals the number 422. 422 is beryllium, helium, and helium. 422. Go over to our trusty calculator, we add those up, we get the number 33. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the ascension process. That is the ascension process. 33. 33 was the year of was his age of the crucifixion. I've shown this, I'll show it again. Luke 22 verses 10, breaking that down through numerology right here. through alchemy, right here, through math. Yet again, we get another 33. I mean, it's clear this is what this means. But he's looking at the house of Aquarius. We are in the house of Aquarius. What about the Passover? The word Passover. That's the passing over from one age to the next. And the word Passover, right here, it's 81337652. Going over to our trusty calculator, ladies and gentlemen, it becomes 72.085, and 72.05 equals the number 82. The element lead, which is directly linked to the planet Saturn. So the Passover, ladies and gentlemen, you're going from Jupiter to Jupiter's father, Zeus. You're going from one planet to the next. You're going from the heart chakra to the throat chakra. Ascension. You're going back to Saturn. That's why it's lead. Now I also have the word furnished. That's why you have to decode these scriptures like this, you know? I mean, the big standout to me is a large upper room furnished. It's a furnished large upper room. What about decoding furnished? Let's do that. Well, it's a 39, and of course the 39th element is yttrium, and yttrium has an atomic weight of 88. 88 is the number of time travel. You know? And of course the letter Y is the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. That's why Saturn is the YHVH, the Yahweh. Jesus' father, the throat chakra. Now this 9-letter word, once again, furnished, here it is through alchemy, here it is through math, and yet again, this equals the number 82.061, which again is lead. Even 82061 equals 82. And again, I've shown this. This is Chronos, aka Saturn in the Greek. What about the Old Testament? Numbers 9 verses 4 and 5. This is Jesus talking to the. Moses talking to the people, and they have to go out into the wilderness of Sinai. Sinai is the sine wave. I showed that earlier. Expansion and contraction. The wilderness is the 12 zodiac signs. Twilight is the separation point of darkness and light. It's the in-between point. It's balance of the yin and yang. It's on the 14th day of the first month. It's the 14th day of the first month, and this number's 9 verses 4 and 5 equals 45, and this equals 45, which is the word Passover in Hebrew. See, Passover. Numbers 9 verses 4 and 5 talking about the Passover equals 45. The word Passover in Hebrew equals the number 45, which is it right here. Through alchemy, the word Passover, using the trusty calculator, is 92.947. 92.947 is the yin-yang, the 96. And, what's interesting is the 92 is 33. We're talking about Passover now. Jesus is talking about the Passover, passing over from one to the next. Well, on the masculine side, it's 33. That's the ascension. There's sublimation, arsenic. And then the other side, the feminine side, is 63, which is Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. Now, again, we're talking about moving from one thing to the next. And, when we keep observing this, especially with the 96, this is 96. Passover in Hebrew becomes 96 through alchemy and numerology. And I told you, twilight is the yin-yang. It's in between the black and the white. It's directly in the dead center. It's like the gray. And that's what this is telling us right here. Twilight. Now, getting into the Hebrew calendar, the first month of the Hebrew calendar is in the springtime, which to me is really where the new year starts, not in January. It's interesting. The United States, a lot of parts of the world, they celebrate wintertime, which is contraction, which is death, which is kind of fascinating in itself. But this celebrates life because springtime is warmth, it's expansion. And the first month of the Hebrew calendar is Nisan. The month that matches Nisan is probably going to be March. And this is off of Wikipedia. Nisan usually falls under March or April in the Gregorian calendar. Now I have pi here, 3.14, because in Numbers verses 4 and 5, Moses told them to celebrate the Passover on the 14th day of the first month. Well, the first month of the Hebrew calendar is Nisan, which relates on the Gregorian calendar likely to March, and 14th day of the first month, that would be 3.14. That would be pi. See how significant that is? Even if we were to use April, it would eliminate the pi, but it would still be 15, matching that up with Nisan. So these are direct, strong hits, connections. And then, of course, Nisan in Hebrew ends up being the number 53, which is iodine, which I already talked about how important that is. But I showed in this graph as well, iodine being the number 23, that's the royal star, the lion in numerology. But when we break it down using alchemy, it becomes 47.049. That becomes 47 through numerology. I've shown this so many times. I am your mother is 47. I am your father is 47. I am your mother is 49. There's your I am your mother, I am your father. Is iodine both our mother and father together? Is this the androgynous deity or energy that runs this matrix reality? The I am. Is that what it is? The tetragrammaton. Is that what this is? You got to be the judge of that. I have 2 more slides to go, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for sticking with me. I know this has been a long one. Probably my longest one ever. Numbers 9 verses 4 and 5. Again, it's a 45. Let's break down the numbers in this scripture. 9 verses 4 and 5 talking about the Passover. Moses talking about the Passover. Notice it's 7 letters and 4 words, 74. 9 verses 4 and 5. We added up using the trusty calculator, using alchemy. It gives us a 39.019. 39 once again is yttrium. Yttrium is the yod. Yttrium is time travel, 88, which is why I have Marty McFly and Doc with the DeLorean here in the background. You know, the Passover is time travel. Chronos in the Greek, which is Saturn in the English, is 88. Chronos is father time. 88.906, that would be the weight of yttrium, the only weight of yttrium. That equals the number 82. 82 is lead. Lead is Saturn, ladies and gentlemen. So, what do you see? But I mean, it's loud and clear to me. And here's where, the movie Back to the Future comes into play, and the Great Pyramid of Giza. They're both working on the same aspects. I thought this was interesting. I didn't even know this, and I pulled it up. 88 miles an hour is equivalent to 141.622 kilometers per hour. The element that has an atomic weight of 144 is neodymium. And it just so happens that the Great Pyramid of Giza sits at 29 degrees north and 31 degrees east. 29 plus 31 equals 60. So is this Great Pyramid of Giza time travel? I mean, they did supposedly bury their dead in there to go into the afterlife. Is that why they did that? And the shape of this and the slope and the measurements, I mean, this whole thing is turning lead into gold, by the way. The base and the height, I could measure that. I could show you using pi. It'll blow you away. That's for another video. But I believe this thing's all about time travel. This is the pinnacle of it, the capstone right there. Everything comes to a head right there. Using Back to the Future, here are the dates that were plugged into the DeLorean. November 12th, 1955. November 12th is the 316th day of the year. 316 equals 47, which is tetragrammaton. And, again, I mean, 88 is Chronos, father time. Father time. It's rather interesting, but what did you see? This is a long-ass presentation. I hope you made it all the way through. But what do you see, ladies and gentlemen? I know what I see. I mean, it's loud and clear what's running this matrix, what's controlling it. And the story was written before all of us ever got here. Any of us, we're all just players of this software, but it was already here before we ever got here. It was already designed, I should say. But This was the big standout, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, arsenic from a solid to a gas. 33, that's where it's at, the ascension process. This is the element of where it's at. 7 of diamonds, but what is it you see? We are living in a battery, and that's what the Last Supper is all about. The Last Supper is all about being in a battery, which is right there. I'm going to leave it on this screen. I'm going to thank you very much for watching the decoding of the Last Supper. My name is Logan. I appreciate you watching. Until next time, have a great day or night.